Media.
If you're feeling like your life has become humdrum and has no meaning, and you have no purpose, you're just going through the motions day to day, it's because you relied too heavily on a system that's providing you maybe your basic needs, but it's not providing you the sense of purpose and meaning and that feeling of aliveness.
Hi, my name is Ronnie Cruz. After almost 2 decades as a career network marketer, I realized that despite continual work on my personal and professional development, that I had hit a massive brick wall. So I took a deep and honest look at myself, top to bottom, hoping to find answers, and my search led me to one conclusion. The definitions I held of my business, of my world, of my life were the very things holding me back. If I wanted to change, if I wanted to grow beyond my current circumstances, I had to wipe the slate clean and redefine. This show is dedicated to helping you identify the belief systems, the mindsets, the very definitions that have held you back, and then help you break through those limitations to finally create the life you've been working so hard to achieve. Welcome to the Redefine Podcast.
Okay, happy podcast day. Happy podcast day to you. Welcome to the show if you're brand new. And of course, if you are an existing listener and or viewer, welcome back. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. Now, real quick, right off the bat, I want to let you know that I'm testing out some new gear. I just bought a new mic system for the show. And one of the things that I'm testing today is the noise canceling capability. I mean, I certainly hope it works. I paid enough money for this system, but there is some construction being done here in the vicinity, a couple miles down the road, which I know sounds far, but everything echoes up the mountain. So hopefully the noise canceling capability of this microphone system is worth what I paid for. And I just want to let you know because in case I can't edit out that extraneous noise, I do appreciate your understanding. Usually you'll be able to hear like the birds chirping and a little bit of the breeze up here. So maybe that's all we'll get. But again, there is a chance you'll get some construction noise. So I appreciate your understanding of that. All right. So today we're going to continue our conversation about alignment, right? Alignment part 2. Now, if you haven't listened to last week's episode, alignment part 1, go back and listen to it anytime, no rush. You can listen to it after this or before this, doesn't matter. I don't think it'll make too huge a difference, but I think it'll bring more complete context to the conversation. So definitely at some point, you're going to want to listen to that. Today, we're going to focus on trusting your gut and what that actually looks like and what it means and how you can develop that. I've always considered myself an individual who has relied on my instinct. I've used my gut and listened to my instinct very well over my life, and it served me. It has served me very well in the decision making process. Of course, bigger decisions I will rely on logic and rationale as well, but there will always be a part of me that it just can't put into words where you just trust a feeling, right? If you feel good about something, and I usually will go for it. If I don't feel right, if I feel a little uneasy about it, that's not the path I'm going to go, right? So, that's again has served me very well, and I wanted to kind of share that with you because I think that's a really important aspect of our innate ability that, for the most part, the human species has stopped using. Right, I think so, anyways. And in my years of coaching and mentoring people, I have observed that people don't necessarily trust their gut and use their instinct and trust the feelings that they have about certain things. They don't at all, right? And they end up rationalizing and logic, which is again all well and good, especially with really big important decisions. However, it's not the only capacity that we have in terms of our mental abilities, right? Our amazing human minds, our brains are capable of so much more than what we're using it for, right? And so that's why I wanted to have that conversation today. So let's start with definition. What is trusting your gut? What does that even mean? To me, it might seem like trusting your gut means learning to take risks and learning to kind of go for it and take the shot and like, yeah, go big or go home. That's not really the complete conversation. Yeah, that's part of it. But part of trusting your gut also means trusting your gut when it says no, right? Trusting your gut when you just don't feel right about a certain path. And again, I've learned over the years to really hone this ability. So it's a spectrum. It's not one or the other. It's really a spectrum, where you're either hiding in your closet and you're never coming out of your house, right? Or it's the Darwin Awards on the other side of the spectrum, right? Those two extreme sides, where the Darwin Awards is where you're taking just unnecessary risks, foolishly taking unnecessary risks. So those extremes are generally where all of us lie when making where all of us fall when making certain decisions, and when faced with potentially decisions that are a little bit more riskier than other decisions. Again, I've learned to kind of listen to my gut feelings, both when it's telling me one way or the other. The caveat, though, is I think that as a human species, we've kind of conditioned ourselves to listen to the run and hide and stay in your house voice more than the take the leap voice, right? And I say take the leap, take a risk, because you can't. There's nothing to gain if you don't take risk, especially when it comes to the things that you really care about and the things that are kind of out of your day-to-day norm. It's breaking those cycles and breaking those routines are going to feel so much more risky, and chances are we end up talking ourselves out of those things, right? And therefore depriving ourselves of potentially having a more enriched experience, right? And feeling more aliveness. I think, again, going back to the point, we've over time conditioned ourselves to talk ourselves out of the things that we love, right? And I get it. There's that part of your brain that wants security. It wants predictability, right? It wants to know that there's going to be a roof over your head, food on the table, clothes on your back, right? And overall, we have societal structures systems that really help us ensure those things. Of course, I mentioned in last week's episode that the system is kind of failing right now, where more and more people are falling through the cracks. But if you're able to kind of find that financial security and have your basic needs met, that's all well and good, but that doesn't necessarily equate to fulfillment and meaning and having that sense of purpose and feeling that aliveness, right? Because if you condition yourself to make decisions based only on security and predictability, and you ran away from risk might be where the rewards are, right? And in fact, risk actually is generally where all the rewards are, right? Right. And the reward being things outside of your current scope, outside of your current routine. Sure. Again, this is no comment on whether or not you are, doing well or you found fulfillment in the system and what you're doing, but if you are feeling out of alignment, if you're feeling like your life has become humdrum and has no meaning, and you have no purpose, you're just going through the motions day to day, it's because you relied too heavily on a system that's providing you maybe your basic needs, but it's not providing you the sense of purpose and meaning and that feeling of aliveness. To find those things, you have to take risk. You have to lean into that excited nervousness, right? And I think that's what's happened. You get that feeling of excited nervousness, and we talk ourselves out of it because there may be a level of risk that comes with that excited nervousness. So how do you train yourself? How do you condition yourself to learn to take more risk? Well, it's really just taking baby steps. You got to take baby steps. Go back to the list of 5 things that you want more of, the things that you love in your life, the things that you want to experience more and that you want to have more in your life, and look where you can take baby steps and small risks at a time. Yes, you'll still feel nervous about taking those small risks, but at least it's not going to be like life ending Darwin Award type risk, right? It's just little things that you can do. For example, if you love, I don't know, if you love art, maybe go to a museum and expose yourself to more art. If you love music, expose yourself to more music. I have recently started playing open mics again, and I haven't played an open mic in decades. I'm not going to say how many, but I haven't played open mic in decades. It felt completely risky, and it was absolutely terrifying the first time I did it a few weeks ago. However, it was a small enough risk where I knew, I wasn't risking anything, drastically financially. I wasn't risking anything as far as like, imminent threat to my well-being. It was just something that's frightening and scary to get up on stage, which I know, public speaking and get in front of people is like the number one fear. But, like you just got to face it, knowing that there's no saber-toothed tiger at the end of that performance. And so, that was a calculated risk that I was nervously excited for. But if I didn't know any better, I would have talked myself out of it, right? So it's that kind of thing. It's that kind of thing. Like look at those top 5 things that we talked about in last week's episode, and just start taking those little steps and taking those little risks, and eventually you'll start to really lean into that excited nervousness, and that'll counterbalance that need for feeling of safety and security. Right? Because it has to be a balance. Again, if we're leaning more towards too much towards the side of safety and security, we may be robbing ourselves of feeling excitement and joy and the aliveness that life can really bring us. And so the best first step to really conditioning ourselves to listen to our gut more completely is going to that list of 5 things and taking baby steps and taking those small risks and doing more of those 5 things. So hopefully that helps. And in next episode we'll talk about the more you do this, the more in alignment you'll get. We'll complete our conversation about alignment, but that's going to do it for today. The main message is really learn to trust your gut through the entire spectrum, not just the one side of caution and leaning towards safety and security. Lean towards taking some exciting, nervous risks, small risks at a time, but eventually, you'll be able to kind of, your gut instincts will tell you when to jump and when not to jump, right? All right, so that's going to be it. That's my message for today. I appreciate your time. Tune in next week for a fresh new one. So until then, be well, be safe. We'll see you in the next episode.